Hey guys, Julia Vellucci here, 17-year-old Canadian author of my exchange duology and love tetralogy. Today we have the third book of my love tetralogy. It is called Women by the Penthouse. Before we get into it, I might just describe the series as a whole to start us off. So in this series, it is a fantasy romance series, and each book in the series, it's a continuation, so you have to read them in order, and they all focus on a different aspect of love. So book one, Girl by the Tracks, focuses on the beauty and beast within, the flaws, and learning to love and accept those flaws because they're who we are. They make us who we are. The second book is Boy by the Plates, which is loving the unexpected. Because nothing in life is planned out. Well, some things can be, most things aren't. And you have to love the surprises because that's what you have to look forward to in life. That's the best part. And this one here, One by the Penthouse, focuses on love to hate. One might think it is talking about maybe an enemy to lovers relationship or something like that. It could be interpreted like that, but that is not the case for this book. There are a few things throughout that you can have a different interpretation on what it means. But what it means when I wrote it is love to hate, the main character in this. I'm not going to spoil too much, but Lex Fisher, who was in the second book of my love tetralogy, so she's mainly focused on this book. And love to hate is her relationship with her emotions, as she used to be invisible and have a frozen heart, and now she can be seen, now she can feel. But she doesn't know what she's feeling, doesn't truly understand who she is. So this book is all about her finding herself, and there is a love triangle in this book. I'm not going to give too much away. And that's the gist of this book. There are many inspirational themes and wholesome messages throughout, like not being afraid to be who you are, not being afraid to express your true voice, that the easy thing is not always the right thing. There's a lot of magical elements throughout, which there's a lot of invisibility throughout the series, hence it's a fantasy romance. But this book in particular, it hints at that there's way more to come, and there is with the fourth book, which I'm obviously not going to discuss today, but there's that as well. So that gives you a little idea of this book here. So it focuses on her emotions, and book two, I'm not going to give too much away with who she ended up with and stuff like that, because again, that might just be temporary since it's a love triangle. But what ended up happening, so it ends with her, someone receives a note and she is being held hostage. So if you're trapped somewhere, of course your emotions and your thoughts, they're going to get to you. What does the person want exactly? They want a purebred. What does that mean? Well, you'll have to read this book to find out. More fantasy elements ahead, right? So I'm going to read the first 2 pages of this just to give you a little sneak peek of it. Alrighty. Okay. Where did it go? Alright, perfect. And this book here, it switches between the points of view of the 4 main characters. So this point of view, this is Lex. I think it's time, isn't it, sweetheart? The fucker says with his stupid, idiotic grin, and I honestly believe belongs to the devil himself, as he hands me what looks to be one of those black burner phones, as one of his goons took away my phone from me and threw it into the lake in the US, in case Zane were to get the police involved. And what do you want me to say exactly? Come here and make a baby with me, otherwise a madman that claims to be our daddy will kill me, right? But I'm not even the slightest bit scared. I yell at him in utter annoyance, hiding my fear with sarcasm and sass, something I've become quite accustomed to once things weren't just black and white anymore, with feelings involved. What did I say about the tude, sweetheart? He shouts at me and begins to approach the metal wall in the cellar to be close to me. He's keeping me in, that he's practically spitting in my face. Unless I'm outside, I don't want to feel the rain, I reply with much attitude, as it's my only advantage in a place like this, that consumes all of my energy, and I can't even fight because I only get fed once a day, which isn't good for either of us. And I can't risk punching this fucker, as his goons are at every which corner. And he always keeps a gun or weapon by his side, and I don't only have myself to think about anymore. But if I stay here any longer than the 2 months I've been held here, he'll know that too, and I can't let that happen. So I take the phone and play his game. I do, however, play it a little differently than he hopes. Fine, I'll call him. Just swear to make me feel more like a house guest here. Maybe a bed would be nice, and at least a second meal, I say in my normal tone, attempting to make it sound like I don't care what he chooses, attempting to not sound desperate. I'll give you a bed once you get your husband here. The same thing goes for meals, because I wouldn't want to malnourish the woman who will be carrying a purebred, he says, sounding like a maniac, but I know exactly what he's referring to, and it does make sense to some extent. I know I'd be living like a queen if I told him the real reason as to why I was complaining about the discomfort with my already aching back on one small meal, but I can't. I nod a response as he stands across from me as my fingers tremble to dial Zane's number. I knew this day would come and know exactly what I'm going to say. If he'll understand me, that's another question. But he's smart when he needs to be, so I can only expect him to. It only takes one ring for him to answer in that soft voice of his that doesn't sound like the manliest man, but is good enough for me. Hello? He says about 3 times and is just about to hang up. But I needed to hear his tone of voice, hear if he's all right, and he doesn't sound completely broken, which is a good sign. Zane, don't hang up, I yell desperately, the nerves now kicking in more than ever, and nausea, which I manage to ignore as I swallow my puke that is trying to leave my mouth, which I have been doing for some time, and I'm sure it isn't healthy, but this is my best option at this point. Lex, is that really you? He asks me in complete shock, and I can only imagine tears slowly drenching his cheeks, and his teeth chattering as they sometimes do in emotional situations for him. Yes, and before you ask about me and your boy, Robbie, we're safe, well indoors, and haven't been physically harmed, I manage to say as the fucker stares at me in utter confusion, wondering what I mean, but doesn't take the phone away from me as he wants to hear how this plays out. I hear Zane breathe heavily as he asks, how many blocks away is Robbie? He immediately understands my code. The misery and worry, yet awe, are present in his voice, allowing my nerves to slowly unwind, slowly untangle, slowly fade, as there's still hope. 6, I say. So that's a sneak peek of that. This code, who's Robbie, what this number 6 means, well, you'll have to read the book to find that out. I'm not going to give much away, as I'm sure you figured that out already. So that's all I'm really going to say about this book. This was my favorite one I wrote in this series, actually, just because the characters are super relatable. You can truly feel, understand, and relate to the emotions. And as for aspiring writers, what I want to say is never be afraid to be who you are. There'll be people that, oh, you shouldn't write. What kind of, you're wasting your time with that. At the end of the day, your opinion is what matters most. If you feel passionate about it, if you enjoy it, just go for it. Just like in this book, a huge theme in it is do what you feel is right. It might not be the easy thing, but do what benefits you at the end of the day. No matter what move you make, no matter what mistake you might make, you're always going to hurt someone. Why would you want to hurt yourself at the end of the day, right? So that's a message for aspiring writers, and never stop writing. Let your imagination be your guide. And as for the publishing company, Ukiyoto Publishing was awesome with this title. This is my favorite cover they have done for me, as even the main character in this book, if you read book 1, you would know that she was born with a rose birthmark on her back. Again, keep track of the symbolism of the rose throughout the series. Even the spine right here. And they even managed to find like a photo similar to that for the title, for the cover, which I thought was really cool, that they just really made it suit the book. And they are awesome. They were awesome to work with throughout. If any writers are looking for a publishing company to go with, I'd highly recommend them, and I'll definitely be reaching out to them with the other book in this series. Well, anyway, that's all for today. Bye, guys.